Right, how are we going to start this?
You stole Dylan's line!
Yeah, I know!
Oh, man. So the problem with that is now here on the podcast Shouting Over Static, a video game show and tell project, by having someone who isn't Dylan say Dylan's line to open the show, we've set a precedent that every show must now open with that.
Oh, goddamn!
So now, I think we're just fucked now.
Oh,
And,
no.
and the people who are fucked are, see, I'm full of great segues here. The people who are myself, Mark, and Jack. How you doing, Jack?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. I'm sorry for, making it now that we have to, start mandatory with that line.
That's all right. I feel like we'd already made something of a habit of it. This is episode 9, and we've done it 8 times so far. So
yeah, it's just us two this week, isn't it?
It's just us two, and so, even though it's just us two, we're still going to do what we do every week on Shouting Over Static, a video game show and tell project, where one of the two of us, it's Jack this week, surprise, brings a game to the virtual table, and we discuss it for some length of time and sort of see where the conversation goes. See if we can make a hot take or two. Possibly more likely some cold takes. I don't know. Before we get started on that, Jack, because I really have to talk to someone about this. That Death Stranding trailer.
I was genuinely thinking, are we going to start the show just by talking about that? Because we have to spend at least 5 minutes talking about that. I know it's just us two, and obviously the other people on the show, Dylan, Tom, and Chaw will have a lot more stuff to say as well. But what the hell?
Yeah, well, we are going to have to revisit this conversation when they're back on the show. But fuck. So to totally date this episode, the Video Game Awards hosted by Jeff Keighley for 2017 just happened. And at it, among a number of wonderful reveals and other things, such as Bayonetta 3.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good reveal. There was some good stuff there. Kojima put out the 3rd trailer for Death Stranding. His nonsense game.
I was waiting to see how you would describe it, to be fair.
Magnum opus? I don't know. It's when you have a man who for 30 years has been shackled to one series and one set of conventions and his own complete lunacy within the military industrial complex, and he's just been making Metal Gear literally for 30 years, and then someone's gone, you don't have to make a Metal Gear game anymore. Here's loads of money and the support of Sony to just go wild. Also, you want to put your best mates Norman Reedus, Mads Mikkelsen and Guillermo del Toro in it? Go for it. We can afford that.
Yeah. Yeah. What?
It's insane. It's completely inscrutable.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the first couple of trailers didn't really give anything too much. They weren't trailers in the sense of a natural born trailer where it was only a couple of minute clip, and it would be well, what the hell is this? Is this even an actual real thing?
And more then tone pieces, I guess.
Yeah, and then the one that got released at the VGAs was just what the hell's going on? That was my first initial reaction to it when I watched it earlier today. I was just I'm so confused.
It's just, it's so bizarre. So the first trailer was that one where Norman Reedus wakes up butt naked on a beach with a baby and some handcuffs and a sweet necklace. And all the whales are dead, and then there are 5 people floating in the air, and that song about I'll Keep Coming plays, and it is all very weird. But it feels intentionally weird. They're just going, we're making a strange video game, here's some strangeness. And it was okay, well, fine. And then he did that second trailer, which Guillermo del Toro is running around in a ruined city surrounded by, tanks crossed with octopuses.
Yeah.
Holding a baby in a jar. And then Mads Mikkelsen turns up in command of some skeleton soldiers. and it still doesn't really make any sense. It is still just weird. There's no real hint at what's going on in it, is there?
No, not at all.
And then this one is like, there's kind of an internal coherency to it. Like, it has at least it's like 8 minutes long. It's a long fucking trailer.
Yeah.
And like the first half of it has some consistency to it. It tells a story.
Yeah,
of,
it
like,
almost.
the dudes trying to rescue the guy trapped under the car, and then invisible monsters turn up.
Yeah, it almost holds its own as like a sort of substantial trailer, but at the same time, it's like it's not really making any sense still at the moment. I mean, obviously, we don't really even know what the game is going to be about yet. That's the thing.
No, not at all.
So with all of these, it's all for like, I mean, because you sort of knew that Kojima would do something like this. If he's moving on, like you say, from Metal Gear, which has been a part of his life for God knows how long now, and he's moving on and he's given freedom to make a game and, you know, make it visually stunning. You always knew that he was going to tease the hell out of the whole video game community. And
For
he's
years.
doing exactly that, so...
It's just fucking mental, Jack.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to like talk about it in case our one listener hasn't actually watched the trailer yet. But yeah, it's if you are listening to this and you haven't seen it, I'd thoroughly recommend going and watch it. Even if you don't like play PS4, if you're an Xbox guy or if you're a PC gamer, still go and watch it because it will blow your
need
mind.
to see it. Yeah, it's so weird. Like, the first two trailers were weird, but they were like, well, this is just setting the tone. Look, you've introduced Norman Reedus, you've introduced Mads Mikkelsen, they're your two main characters, you've got babies and dead whales, and there's stuff here that seems like you've got an idea of what's going on. And then he doesn't say anything about it for a year.
Yeah.
And then he comes out just like, right, we've got bridges, like United Cities of America, we've got corpse disposal team 6, we've got necklaces with equations, like quite advanced quantum theory equations to do with like black holes and potential time travel engraved on them.
Yeah.
We've got dudes who get old in the blink of an eye and babies that seem to power like backpacks that clap. It's fucking bizarre. And that's just the first half of it. That's not even getting into the second half, which I won't spoil because it's completely fucking batshit.
Yeah, man. Like it's like so.
Like the first half of it is sorry.
You said that you reckon maybe next year at E3 we'll get some like an inkling of the gameplay of what maybe even what the game is about as a whole as well.
We have to, right?
Yeah, it's been so long.
Even if we don't get an inkling of what it's about, we have to get like Norman Reedus running around in an area and like showing what the mechanic of that game is.
Yeah.
Like he said, it's an open world action game with intuitive designs and controls. He said that there's like vehicles you can get in.
Yeah.
But then also he's got all his weird like philosophical rantings about fucking the first thing man created was the stick, and we use that to keep things away from us, and in all video games weapons have always been the stick, but then the second thing man created was the rope, and we use that to keep things important attached to us, and video games have never been about the rope, and so I want to make a game that's all about the rope. And you think like, what the fuck are you talking about, Hideo?
Oh my god. But I mean, yeah, you're completely right. Like it's just I think it's going to be an insane game when it does come to market. I don't know when, but yeah, hopefully it's a good game. Hopefully it's just not one of these. I imagine it's not going to be because Kojima's never one of these people who gives too much hype to a game. But it's just like a weird.
He gives just enough hype for the weird shit he does.
Yeah.
Like, if you are not on board for the Hideo Kojima ride, then you would think he gives a lot of hype for tiny, tiny morsels of complete fucking horseshit nonsense. But if you are totally on board for the Hideo Kojima ride, then like his yearly releasing of totally inscrutable trailers is just right because they're so dense with information. Like the shit I'm hearing people come up with since this trailer came out, being like, look at like so the dude, Norman Reedus' character, is wearing that suit, and the suit's got a number on it.
Yeah.
So if you put that number into Amazon backwards, I'm not fucking making this up. If you put it into US Amazon backwards, it takes you to a product page for a type of oil pipe. And obviously, there's this recurring theme of the black oil in all of his trailers.
Yeah,
because apparently he's a big fan of the X-Files.
Who found that out? Who thought, you know what, I'm going to type this into Amazon backwards?
But then that's like low tier crazy, because I think that might be a coincidence. Because if you translate that number into chapter and verse from the Bible, you get a passage from the Bible all about having to, it's like keeping your children close or having to sacrifice them. Which then comes into his whole insane thing about like babies that he's had in all his trailers.
Yeah.
It's fucking mental, man. And that's just the first half of the trailer, and then the second half is just that thing, which we're not going to talk about, but that thing in that trailer that happens. That camera shot, that slow zoom is like, I've never seen anything like that in a video. I finished Wolfenstein 2 this week, and if Death Stranding is even half as crazy as its trailers make it look to be, it's going to beat Wolfenstein 2 for being the most crazy game I've ever played. And Wolfenstein 2 is bizarre.
Yeah. I mean, like that one shot that you're talking about. It's just like when I first saw it, and then it was just like slowly moving in, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? And then it just all sort of just speeds up, and you're like, what the hell? What the fuck? Oh my god.
Imagine being an animator at Kojima Productions, and Kojima walks into the room and is like, right guys, I'm going to need you to animate this for our new trailer. And they go, don't you want us to make some video game yet, Kojima? It's like, no, don't be ridiculous. I just need you to animate this thing. That sounds a bit weird, Kojima. Don't you think people will make fun of you? It's like, no, they're going to fucking love it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh mate, like if any, like, watch that trailer, watch all the other trailers, get on the Death Stranding subreddit and just start reading the shit people are coming up. Like someone linked a bunch of like oblique references to philosophy and Kojima's favourite movies that he's given in different interviews to a book about philosophy written by Nietzsche. I might be saying that wrong. The philosopher Nietzsche.
I have no idea, mate.
Whatever. I think I'm mispronouncing his name. It's got a hard, but it's all about. It's like an adaptation of the Zoroastrian religion, and all about the way that humans evolve and moving forward to the next step, like superhumans.
Yeah.
And then bringing the themes from the Zoroastrian religion, which is like one of the oldest. Like I actually knew a Zoroastrian back in like Ipswich, a Zoroastrian family, and it's like one of the oldest religions in the world, and a bunch of other crazy stuff like this, and linking all this philosophy and everything. And then if you break it down, it lines up thematically with all of his trailers, and you just think like, what the fuck is wrong with you? What? Everyone else is just making Call of Duty, and then you're like bringing in a bunch of insane like philosophy and religion and Norman Reedus' naked arse. He's a literal crazy person, Jack.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. Oh my words.
I'm excited to get some other people's read on it. But
Yeah, for sure.
my read on it is just like, what the fuck?
that's
What the
literally
fuck?
that's literally all you can say to it. It's just what the fuck is going on here, Kojima?
Oh yeah, like I like Kojima. I'm on this ride with him. I'll fucking play his insane game, whatever it turns out to be. But it's just insane, and I hate that. Like it could be anywhere, but it could still be like 2 years off.
Yeah.
Because he said it's going to come out before the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, which is cool. And then he said that it's going to come out before the year in which the film Akira was set, which is a weird way to phrase that, but that was 2019. So ostensibly it's coming out next year.
Yeah.
But I don't know anything about it other than it's fucking batshit insane. Which I kind of hate. I don't know, Jack. I don't know. We've waffled on about fucking Death Stranding for 15 minutes. We should probably actually talk about what we're here to talk about now, but it's so weird.
Yeah, for sure it is. I mean, yeah, like we've said so many times, if you haven't seen it, go and check it out. You can easily just drop a YouTube on it. It's just absolutely insane.
Yeah, man. People owe it to themselves to watch those trailers, even if you're not going to play the game, because it's just
Hell,
so fucking weird.
Even if you're not a video game fan, go and watch it. You know, you might be listening to us because, I don't know, for some crazy reason you stumble across us. But go and check this trailer out, and your mind will be blown.
I'm thinking of showing the trailers to Katie and just being like, "What do you think of this?" Because I've been showing her different parts of Wolfenstein and explaining them to her, and she's just been getting more and more and more bemused that it's even a video game. I might show her the Death Stranding trailers and just be like, "Look at what video games are." Fuck. Right, Jack. Before we alienate everyone who was ever going to listen to us with this fucking nonsense, what are you bringing to the table, friendo?
All right, so the game that I wanted to bring to the table, considering it's just us two today, I thought, I'd bring a game that I feel like we both know and love. It's a game from a well-known series of games. It was released in 2009. Not
Shit.
2009. Yeah, it was 2009, wasn't it? And it is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were going to say.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Which, yeah, I mean, like I say, you and I both love the game. We think it's probably one of the best games, or at least I feel like it's probably one of the best games in the whole of the Call of Duty franchise. And yeah, I mean, for me, it strikes that feeling of, I feel like it was, obviously we had Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 4 come out it was that sort of cross-platform game.
Yeah.
Then we had World at War, which was decent, and then Modern Warfare 2, obviously continuing on from where Call of Duty 4 left off, with the same characters. And yeah, I feel like it was certainly one of those games that I played a hell of a lot of. The campaign was decent. It had controversial parts, which I'm sure we'll get on to later on in the recording. But yeah, I mean, it certainly stands out for me as one of the best sort of I guess you could call it a trilogy. I don't know if there's going to be any more, but at the moment it is just a trilogy because you had Modern Warfare 1, 2, and then of course 3, which was released 2 years later. But yeah, for me, Modern Warfare 2 certainly stands out as one of those mainstay games. If you were to ask me if I could go back in time and play any of them, as much as I love Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare 2 really stands out to me as one of the sort of main standpoints of Call of Duty history, really.
Yeah, I feel like Modern Warfare 2 was the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Because, I was never a big fan of the Call of Duty games. I liked Black Ops, so that was a fun game, and I've played around with most of them.
Yeah.
But I'm not a big fan of the Call of Duty games with the old guns.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think old guns are just a bit whack. I don't know what it is. I think there's just something about it that I'm not the biggest fan of. And then, like, obviously, Modern Warfare was the first one with modern guns, Call of Duty
Yeah.
4 Modern Warfare. And it also basically single-handedly invented the multiplayer system that video games still use.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
perks and loadout and XP and prestiging and all this other stuff. But it hadn't quite perfected it.
No,
And
not at all.
I thought Modern Warfare 2 was where it was just in the right sweet spot of like, here are perks, and all the perks can go pro. Here are all your weapons, and they've got attachments. And you know that if you want to get this attachment, then you have to get this many kills with this or whatever. And there's all these different guns, and you get the guns at different levels. And there's all the big missions, a good bunch of game types, but it wasn't too bloated yet. It didn't get into like supply drops and
No.
like too much shit that like Modern Warfare 3 did. And so yeah, for me personally, Modern Warfare 2 was my sweet spot. That was the one where, at least with the multiplayer, because we'll get into like other bits, we'll get into the other bits later, I guess. But at least with the multiplayer, that was 100% my sweet spot. That was the one where I played the most of it, far and away, because it had the right level of stuff to keep me going, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I feel like the only thing for someone who's like plays a lot of Call of Duty, I'm by no means am I great at Call of Duty. You see me sit down and get absolutely mad playing Call of Duty online. But one of the things that really stands out for me is that this one was really one of those games where, you know, the noob tube became a thing. You know, having a grenade launcher on your gun and shooting across the map when you're playing something like Domination and knowing where the spawn points are and just firing and getting like 3 or 4 kills with just one grenade launcher shot was truly one of the things. I mean, as much as infuriating as it was, when you did it, you felt so good. Like, honestly, it was one of the most satisfying things you could ever do.
Yeah, I think that was always the thing about the new tube, wasn't it? Because it was like, you say, oh, it's cheap, but it's the noob tube, it's what noobs do. But you go,
Yeah.
but actually, to spawn, turn, aim, fire a grenade across the map, and hit the other spawn and kill everyone, it's really fucking hard. I never managed to do it. It's really difficult to do. So I always thought that idea of people calling it cheap and like a new weapon was like, you just hate it because you keep getting killed by it.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically
But
what it is.
you have access to it. Everyone has done enough kills with the fucking Scar H that they can whack the grenade launcher on it and crack on with the noob tube. So yeah, I don't know. The idea of it being like a cheap weapon never really held water with me because the shit people did. Because I guess that's it, isn't it? Right? Like Modern Warfare 2 was, from my memory, the beginning of the insane YouTube videos of like skill shots.
Yeah.
Of like fucking 360 no scopes.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, because it was the intervention, wasn't it, in the multiplayer that everyone just started using, and it was just such an insane weapon. And once, if you were that person who could nail those like quick zooms down the scope, and you put your sensitivity up to like 10 or whatever it was, and you could really, you know, spin around about 4 times in a second, then yeah, that was what defines like the whole sort of montage scene, was getting quick scopes, 420, 360, whatever, 720, 1080, whatever you want to call it. That really defined those sort of online montages.
Yeah, 100%. And like the ones I always thought were nuts were like over the map, like throwing knife kills.
Oh yeah,
Where they throw it up into the air and then look like off and then like turn around and then just get like fucking kills or like kills popping up on the screen from throwing knives around and shit. Oh man, yeah, I guess that's it, isn't it? It had a big enough variance in equipment and like map sizes and weaponry and perks and unlocks that you could go crazy with some of that stuff. You could be like, I'm just going to become the intervention master.
yeah.
Oh, the intervention was great.
Yeah, and I mean, like you say, with like the games in the guns in the game were just insane as well. And I mean, like you say, they were really for you. I wouldn't say that I'm not a fan of the old guns. It's just, for me, I played a lot of World at War, and that was obviously like the first game that I actually sat down and played on the PS3 as it was then. And I played it with my mates, and that was like one of the first games that we actually sat down and played. And then we moved on to Modern Warfare 2, obviously, a year later. And yeah, I mean, the modern guns certainly have a better feel to it. And
I don't know what it is. I just think the way you have to program those older guns, you end up in this situation where you're going like, okay, well, because we have such a variance in like bolt action rifles, they're your accurate long guns, and then your machine guns become like Thompsons and Sten guns, which we make inaccurate because. And then I always preferred it. Was like, well, if I'm going to be holding a fucking automatic rifle, let's make it the M4 or like the fucking the Acer or whatever it was. Like let's have some accurate assault rifles that fire lots of bullets.
Yeah, and I mean it's interesting that we're talking about this now because the game was released in 2009 and the actual campaign.
I remember going to the supermarket to buy it. So long ago.
I remember like waking up and like going to like Sainsbury's or something, and then always being the first person there and getting my dad to buy it because obviously back then I was younger than it had an 18 tag on it, so I couldn't really go out and buy it myself. But
we talk about it now, and the campaign was actually set in 2016, so it was actually set last year. The campaign was. And it just feels sort of surreal that we're talking about it now. It's like one of those sort of Back to the Future things, you know, when it was, what was it, like last year, we had that Back to the Future day, and when it was like, oh my god, 2015, that was it. And we were like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And you look at it now and you think, okay, so 2009 to 2016 isn't that big of a jump. But we look at it and we think, actually, you know, what it hits on in terms of the multiplayer and like the wars going on and stuff is actually like really accurate in today's world.
That we're still fighting a senseless war in the Middle East.
Yeah, and it's so bizarre.
Though I would also say the B plot of Modern Warfare 2, in which the Russians have a Red Dawn style invasion of the US by land, is a sliver preposterous.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But led to some incredible fucking missions, like the one where you have to look after Honey Badger, the APC, and then you have to take over the burger place.
Yeah.
What was the burger place called?
Like Burger Town, isn't it, or something?
Burger Town, that's it. Yeah, Burger Town, mate. Oh, that campaign though. Yeah, there's something about that campaign. I think it was when Call of Duty campaigns were like still kind of shocking.
Yeah. Because it was
yeah, go on.
It was pre all of this sort of jumping around and being able to run up walls and stuff. So it was like a purist sort of game where it was just like, you know, we could throw something in the mix and everyone's going to be like, oh my god, this is so controversial. This is like blowing me away. This is so shocking. And just you wouldn't have thought that they would put something like that into a game.
Yeah, it's hard because like shit. Way more egregious than the controversial stuff in Modern Warfare 2 has happened in Call of Duty games since then.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But it's the law of diminishing returns where eventually you just get desensitized to it.
Yeah.
And now they're going back to World War 2, but it seems like they're almost like an imitation of an imitation at this point. Like it was all those original Call of Duty games came out and like Medal of Honor and stuff, and they all had their like D-Day level that in itself was based on Band of Brothers and like Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
That in itself was based on a bunch of like 80s and 90s like half like 50-year anniversary writing on World War II that in itself was like quite rose tinted in the way it glorified some of this approach to war, but then also maybe not rose tinted, but it did definitely dramatize bits of it. Even though like Saving Private Ryan's a fucking great movie, so I'm not shitting on it or anything. But I think it is at some point, even going back to World War II, it feels like you're just doing you're basing it on your video games that were based on movies, that were based on books, that were based on 50-year anniversary accounts. There's an incredible write-up of what I'm trying to say over on Waypoint, waypoint.zone. It's fucking great. Great URL. But I think they also have bastionfucks.com, which I think is also a pretty good URL. But yeah, one of the writers over there wrote up far more coherently what I'm trying to say and actually sourced a lot of it better. But it's just this idea that Call of Duty became so controversial that they're going back to basics, but even they're just fucking basing everything they're saying, everything they're doing on stuff that was already like 6 points removed from anything real in the first place.
Yeah.
But Modern Warfare 2 kept it fucking real, man.
Yeah, it did. I mean, I mentioned earlier that it did have a couple of controversial moments in the game, none more notable than the No Russian mission, which you assume the role of an undercover agent who is sort of in with the Russians, and you go around with Makarov, and you're killing innocent people in an airport in the middle of America, or in Russia. Sorry,
Russia. Yeah.
You're killing people, like innocent civilians in Russia, and you're just going around, and you exit the elevator, and Makarov turns to you and says, "Remember, no Russian," and then you just walk out, and you're there with your giant gun, and you're killing innocent civilians, which. You could have the option to skip it if you felt that, you didn't, obviously it was very controversial, if you felt that you couldn't handle going around.
That was it, wasn't it?
You could skip the game.
They had that thing at the very, like when you loaded the game up for the first time, it was like, do you want to skip this level? It's pretty fucked up.
Yeah. And then like when you first get to play it, you're like, what the hell's going on? And I was rather confused. I remember back in the day just sitting down playing it, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, what's going on? And then I was just going through that airport, and you're just like, oh my god, I'm killing innocent people. What? Like, I feel like
they always kind of justified it by saying you don't actually you can get through that entire level without actually shooting any civilians. But then but then also once you've shot once you get through the civilian bits, you have to kill a bunch of security guards. And you have to kill them because they're shooting back at you, and you can't progress through the level. So no matter which way around you go, you just have to be a dick.
Yeah. It's just like, again, I feel like that was sort of one of the missions that really just stands out in Call of Duty history as being one of the most controversial, and perhaps why it got a lot of attention and why it did so well when it came to market. That's probably potentially why I did so well. I don't want to sound like it's, oh my god, yeah, we're advertising killing civilians and then people were really into it. But potentially that's part of the reason why it was so popular, was because it had that controversy and it wasn't afraid to, push the envelope on what a video game FPS could be like.
And it just generated a huge amount of buzz, didn't it? Like, everyone was talking about Modern Warfare 2 because it had this. Because everyone was like, obviously Call of Duty 4 has that bit where you get nuked.
Yeah.
And that was insane. And also it did the pretty bold thing of having you play as a deposed president who gets executed. Then you play as an army man who gets fucking caught in a nuclear blast and has to drag his irradiated corpse through burning streets as everything's fucked around him in this huge mushroom clouds in the distance. And then it has that insane bit at the end where you have to chase Zakayev in the car, and then you have the fight, and then you shoot him and you get all fucked up and everyone gets all messed up. And like it really pushed the envelope for like that kind of cinematic storytelling in first person. And then Modern Warfare 2 was like, right, how do we one up it? What do we do to make it even fucking crazier?
Yeah.
And so it's got no Russian, which is nuts. It's got that insane level where you're trying to escape from Washington DC that's been obliterated by the Russians.
Yeah.
And then Captain Price sets a nuke off in orbit, and the EMP means everything gets fucking annihilated, and you're walking through the streets. There's like helicopters are falling out of the sky and shit.
Yeah, it's called Whiskey Hotel because White House.
Yes,
is the name of the mission. because I'm just looking at it now, yeah, and it's Whiskey Hotel, and yeah, I remember that.
That level's so good.
There's a lot to be said about controversy in video games, and I mean, Modern Warfare 2 really just pushed the boundary on what could really be socially accepted.
It was just like, we're just going to do loads of crazy shit. We're just going to have stuff getting fucked up.
Yeah.
Their whole Red Dawn bit where the Russians invade the US and you're rolling around small town America, like fighting Russian troops and blowing up burger joints and stuff, trying to save. It had an idea of what it wanted to do with its imagery, and it was very heavily based in like cinema, in like classic 90s action cinema for good reason, because it executes on it brilliantly, but it's some great shit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just reading about like the reception that it did get, and what really sort of strikes home about just how controversial it was is, do you remember that dude Anders Breivik from Norway who tried to he did the 2011 Norway attacks when he had people on an island? He claims in his manifesto, when he was like confessing about it and whatever, he claims that he used the mission No Russian to sort of perpetrate his attacks and sort of plan it out.
To practice them.
Yeah, and you look at it and you think, damn. And I mean, as a result of that, Norway removed all copies from all retail stores in the country, and they were like, right, we can't be having this. This is too real. And it's just, it's like stuff like that, when you actually see that people, I mean, I'm not one to advocate obviously playing a game and then going out and killing someone, because that's just completely wrong, but it's stuff like that which it makes you think, like, really, like, should they have done it, or could they maybe have held back a bit?
Yeah, like Modern Warfare 2, it was still when Call of Duty was pushing the boundary and people were shocked,
Yeah.
Like the end of Modern Warfare 2, where you have to pull that knife out of your own chest to throw it at that dude, throw it at Shepard. Like, it just did a bunch of shit in first person that video games hadn't done in first person before.
Yeah.
That was nuts. It was really nuts, and just stuff was exploding and blowing up, and things were just getting crazy all over the shop. And like, eventually the novelty wore thin, right? Because Call of Duty games kept pushing it further and further and further, and people started caring less and less and less.
Yeah.
Right, like that's the actual reality of Call of Duty. Is like Modern Warfare 3 came around, and Modern Warfare 3 has its attempt at its controversial scene, which is that fucking camcorder footage of the family on holiday in London or in Paris, wherever the hell it is, as a chemical attack goes off, and you watch as like a child dies.
Yeah.
But at some point, already by then, it was starting to get like, you can't. What are you doing, Call of Duty?
Yeah, exactly.
You've pushed it too far. You've had nuclear explosions. You've had like mass terrorism. Like they Modern Warfare 2 really fucking pushed it to the limit with No Russian, and everything past that was just like, you can't beat this.
Yeah, exactly. This is it.
You've been as controversial as you possibly can be, I think.
And I think it sort of just shows in the fact that they haven't really had like they haven't really put a mission like that in any of the games ever since. They haven't had a mission where you go out of your way, or they've gone out of their way to. First of all, obviously you can avoid playing that mission if you want, but also, if you choose to play it, they haven't forced you into that decision making of being like, okay, we're going to go to an airport now and you have to kill innocent civilians. I don't feel like that they've ever put that into any of the games since then, because I feel like they sort of accepted Activision and all of the publishers that they work with, probably thinking, actually, you know what, we shouldn't do this ever again. I know it was good and it was great for the sales and controversial, and it grabbed the headlines, but maybe it's just a bit too far.
It's just like, there's only so often you can make the player be the bad guy in such an egregiously dreadful fucking way. Because then, Black Ops didn't really do it. But I mean, Black Ops has its weird dream sequence where you shoot JFK.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but that's not actually real, so that's probably all right. And like, yeah, Modern Warfare 3 didn't really do it, even though Modern Warfare 3 has a bunch of its own weird shit it tries to like retcon into it. Because you spend most of that game playing as like Makarov's best mate who's turned good, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, it's fucking yeah. Such as Modern Warfare, something about Modern Warfare 2 for me, it will always be that was when Call of Duty was like everyone was talking about it.
Yeah.
Everyone was playing Modern Warfare 2. Everyone was talking about it. Everyone had their opinions on the campaign and the multiplayer. It was all over the news. It was it. It was the fucking multiplayer shooter that you had to play.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, like it's certainly one of those games that will stick in, even if it's the only Call of Duty game that you play, it's certainly not one of the games that you're ever gonna forget very, very easily, because it has that impactness, it has that controversy of, like we spoke about, the several different missions that really just sort of play on your mind a bit, and it's just
do some raw shit in that game, man, don't you? You just do some stuff that's like, fuck.
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah.
But anyway, like trying to get moving away from all of like the bad stuff that happens in the campaign. Obviously, one of the probably one of the best standout things, not because of its controversy, but because of just how awesome it was, is the Spec Ops missions that you could do as well.
Yeah, Spec Ops was really good. Spec Ops, every single time another Call of Duty game comes out, I always ask, is there Spec Ops in it? And the answer is always no, and it's just such a shame, because Spec Ops is the best thing. Spec Ops is their best co-op thing they ever did, without a doubt.
For sure.
Like, I see the appeal of zombies, but fighting zombies that get progressively harder and harder in a wave-based thing is just nowhere near as fun as fighting actual like AI dudes with guns and like picking a difficulty level and having an objective and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spec Ops was excellent. Though also, like, those echo challenges were functionally impossible. I don't think I've ever met anyone who's been that one where you're in the favela and it's full of juggernauts with grenade launchers.
Yeah.
It's like, how are you supposed to do this?
And isn't it like you're what is it? You're only allowed to use like claymores and like explosives or something to kill all of these like juggernauts that come after you, and you're like, how can we do this? They've all got like giant LMGs, and we're running around with no protection.
That's it, yeah.
Just explosives. They're all heavily armored up. What the hell can we do?
You get given the single shot grenade launcher and some claymores, and then you have to clear out like 6 fucking juggernauts in the favelas, and the juggernauts have all got those massive machine guns.
Yeah, it's bizarre. Like, it is like in terms of in terms of like gameplay, those missions are hard, but it like you say, it offers you something different. It's one of those things where you can sit down and it never gets old. You can always go back to them, and you can always improve and do better, and there's so much fun to do. Whereas, like you say, with zombies, there's only so much really that you can do with zombies. I mean, I guess that they've since the first zombies in World at War, they have been adding in different Easter eggs and whatever. But after a certain amount of time, it does get a bit old.
The idea of the game starting and you having a pistol and a knife, and it's wave-based, and you have to fucking block windows and slowly get the points to get your next gun up, and then you move to unlock new areas and everything, just doesn't... I would rather play O Cristo Redentor from the Alpha Spec Ops challenges on, like, Veteran for, like, 4 hours than literally any zombies mode. Any at all. Because putting you in a big play area with a collection of really great guns and saying you have to kill all of these really difficult enemies who are programmed with interesting AI in a maze-like area, and you have equivalent weaponry, and you just have to be good at the game, is way, way more interesting than being like, okay, you have to learn an entirely different new set of skills.
Yeah.
Because that was my thing with zombies, I guess, is you couldn't play zombies like Call of Duty, you have to play zombies like zombies.
Yeah, this is it. That's the thing.
It was never like just kill the people coming at you. It was always like you have to think tactically about where you're going to position yourself, all of this sort of stuff, and yeah, you have to it was a bit weird.
Yeah. Oh, mate, Spec Ops was great, and and even the silly ones they had, like the race
Yeah,
and things like that. It's heartbreaking. Like, I guess Modern Warfare 3 had that wave-based thing, but it also had some missions, didn't it?
yeah.
That you could do. But they haven't really done anything since, have they?
Not well. They did one in Advanced Warfare, which was sort of where we just set up and you can have waves of enemies coming at you, and you play with random people online or a group of people, and it was I would say maybe like a sort of faux pas zombies, really. But
Didn't Advanced Warfare also have zombies in it, though?
It also had zombies, which was the thing. You couldn't really call it a zombies because it wasn't zombies because they had the zombies mode in it. But it was sort of one of those ones where you
had wave-based survival mode.
Yeah, with AI enemies that would shoot back at you and stuff like that. And yeah, and then I think once you completed it, I think there was like 26 levels or something like that once you completed it, and then you complete it, you get to the 26th level, and then you go to 27, and then it goes to like 1 squared. You're like level 1 squared, level 2 squared, and something like that. I can't remember, but yeah, it's just like you said, they haven't really done anything in terms of set missions based on stuff that happen. I wouldn't say based on stuff that happens in the campaign, but it's in similar maps, loosely based around what is going on in the campaign. But they haven't done that ever since.
Yeah, because that was always the thing, wasn't it? Because the Spec Ops missions, by and large, would be related to stuff in the campaign. So you'd have, like, protect Burger Town and things like that would be your Spec Ops mission, but it would be scored. Or protect the petrol station, but you only have these limited weapons and it'd be scored. Or there was, like, hostage rescue on the oil rig and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah,
I think one of the
so good.
one of the missions that really stood out for me is Overwatch, where you sit down with your mate. One of you is in the AC-130, and the other one is down on the ground and trying to evacuate these buildings. You're moving through like a darkened village, and if you're the player on the ground, you can't really see anything, and you're just really relying on help from above. And it was awesome to be in any of the roles, to be honest.
Yeah, because they literally just went, hey, remember that really cool bit in Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare when you control the gunship? Well, imagine if one of you controlled the gunship and the other one of you controlled Captain Price and friends. Yeah. And you actually got to go and do cool... Oh, man. Yeah, Spec Ops was so good. And yeah, I guess like Modern Warfare 3 had its wave-based thing. And then like, did Call of Duty Ghosts... It had like its weird alien thing, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, where like you weren't fighting zombies, it was like a wave-based survival thing again, but they were aliens dumb, weren't they?
Bizarre. I mean, you say that I can't remember a lot about Call of Duty Ghosts. I think it was one of it came out in 2013, I think 2013, 2014, and it just sort of back
2013.
It just sort of went under the radar. It didn't really have a lot of hype as a Call of Duty game, and I feel like it was sort of just what really signifies it not being one of the great Call of Duty games is the fact that, it's been 3 or 4 years since they released it, and no one's even really started talking about making a sequel to it.
It ends on a cliffhanger as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is it. So everyone was like, oh my god, they're going to make Ghost 2. This year when they were talking about, when Infinity Ward developed Infinite Warfare, everyone was like, oh, they're going to make Ghost 2 because, that ended on a cliffhanger, and they were just like, no, we don't really want to talk about Ghosts. It was sort of a bit of a...
Call of Duty Ghosts fucking sucked.
Yeah, it's essentially that. It was essentially that. And I think, going back to the multiplayer, I'm just having a look now, and it's just bringing back memories of the... you mentioned it earlier, the different attachments you're going to have. You could have the heartbeat sensor.
Yeah.
Which I just think was just insane for any kind of like FPS game to attach something to your gun. Obviously, you had perks that you could get around it and not show up on the heartbeat sensor, but to have a perk that would ostensibly show you where the enemy was
because like the whole
weird.
thing, like the way the different loadouts worked, you'd have like this is my team deathmatch loadout, and then this is my fucking like domination loadout, and then this is my what was the search and destroy? No, what was the game mode which was like Last Man Standing? Was it Last Man Standing? Didn't have a dumb name.
It wasn't it? Was it like? It wasn't Headquarters, was it? It's
No. But like the one where it was all like if you died, you were then out till the next round started. It was functionally Last Man Standing. I don't think it was called that in that one. I could be wrong. And that was where people would always be getting out there like Ninja Pro perks and everything was silenced and had heartbeat sensors on it and all this other stuff, so that you wouldn't show up on other people's radars, but they'd show up on yours, and you wouldn't make any footsteps, and you could like. And was it fucking? What was the perk that meant that you could melee people from like 6 meters away or something stupid? If you got it to pro.
I'm trying to. It might have been like Commando, maybe.
Yes, it was Commando Pro that increased your melee range to the point where you could like click in I think I always used
B. Yeah.
B, but you fucking press your melee button and you just launch across a room and kill someone. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I think what was it? I think it might have been like Marathon Pro or Lightweight Pro, where it was just like, yeah, you take no fall damage. You're just like, okay, I'll jump out this window and do like some sick shot and just know that I'm going to survive.
Yeah, because in like Marathon Pros, you could sprint forever.
Yeah, yeah.
I always remember people being like, yeah, no, so what you always get Marathon Pro, and then you get like Commando Pro, and then fucking some other lunacy or whatever it is. Maybe could you get 3 perks?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could.
Could you then also equip Ninja Pro, and then you don't make any footsteps, you can sprint forever, and you can melee people from really far away. And I literally knew people who they just run around stabbing people, and you just couldn't fucking shoot them because they were always sprinting and just like jumping around and stuff. It was really silly, but it was so good.
I also remember I can't remember the name of the map where you're just out in basically like a marshland, and it's just like one long strip, and there's 2 different sides to it, and you can go underneath in like the bunkers and stuff. But I remember
Wasteland.
Yeah, Wasteland. I remember you could you had what was it? One man army, and you had the tactical insertion as well. So what you could do is you could run off of the map where there was like radiation and stuff. You could run out, set your tactical insertion down. And then when you kill yourself, and then when you come back, you have the tactical insertion. You change like to one man army where you have like a juggernaut or something like that, and you have like a bit more health.
Yeah,
because that was it. They had death streaks, wasn't it? It was called Painkiller. It wasn't Juggernaut. It was called Painkiller, and you had like a bit more health when you dead, so you could eke even further, and then you'd suddenly get out of the map and behind the radiation, and you could put your tactical insertion down, and then you just snipe. And because you had a one-man army as well on all of your different classes that you'd have, you could just change to whatever gun you wanted and just hide outside of the map. I remember doing that quite a lot.
that was a great map for sniping on.
Yeah, I feel like
intervention thermal scope, just like hanging out in the corner of the map, just like blasting people.
And I also, like I say, they had death streaks. I feel like this was the first. No, because they had in World at War. It wasn't strictly a death streak, but they did have Last Stand in World at War. But I don't think they had
martyrdom
death streaks
in World at War as well.
Yeah, and that was it. Like I feel like as prevalent as martyrdom was in World at War, Modern Warfare 2 was really the time. You know, we mentioned it earlier. You could really be a scumbag. You could sit down with the Scar H, which was a pretty decent gun, or maybe even the FAMAS, maybe even the M4. You could sit down, have the noob tube attached to it, and then also have martyrdom, and just really annoy the hell out of everyone on Xbox or just whatever console you were playing it on. It was just so fun.
It was like it wasn't perhaps the most like refined multiplayer experience,
not at all.
But it was a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah,
fucking like the people running around with like 1887 Akimbos. Just like, why don't we have a gun that's a double shot, one-handed shotgun, and then there's a perk that lets you hold 2 of them, and then you can just sprint round, putting 4 shotgun rounds into people before they've even noticed you.
And I remember the old way that they used to reload as well, is you just spin it around your finger, and it would reload it. And you could just run around and be like, and just kill everyone. Like they nerfed it after about like a couple of months because they were like, wait a minute, this is way too good. I think it's like one of the shotguns that you unlock at quite a high level.
Yeah.
But when you had that akimbo and you could shoot people from 10 meters away across from where you're standing and always hit them, and it was always like 1 or 2 shots, and because you were so fast on the triggers and you just instantly reload as well, it's just insane.
It was such a silly weapon.
Yeah.
And like they had the G18Cs, didn't they? The machine pistols with like 30 round clips that were really inaccurate, but you could hold 2 of them and put literally like you could fill the entire screen with 60 bullets in about 5 seconds.
Because this was it. They had the handguns and machine pistols, and then they also had riot shields, which was like a special weapon that you unlocked at like level 30 something. But you could run around with like the PP2000s or like the Raffica or the Glocks or whatever they were. The G18s, yeah. And you could just run around with a riot shield on your back and just absolutely kill everyone because you knew that the only way that you could get shot in the back is if they were really accurate and aiming at your feet. And then as soon as they hit you, you just turn around with them and just kill them.
Yeah, that was it. You couldn't get shot if you were holding. That was the original fucking frying pan from PUBG. It's Modern Warfare 2 with the riot shield on your back, running around with machine pistols. Oh man, I do have a lot of nostalgia for that game, and like the multiplayer scene and like Spec Ops is still so much fun.
Yeah,
and that campaign and the way that it took all that inspiration from like The Rock and from like Red Dawn and all these other incredible movies, and it just went, why don't we just make a game that is like playing all the best scenes from all these movies? Yeah, fucking Captain Price comes back.
Yeah, man.
And Soap, and because you don't play as Soap, fucking, I would spoil the shit out of this game, but who cares? Everyone should have played it by this point. It was so popular, but yeah, because you don't play as Soap, you get to see Soap hand Price back his pistol that Price gives him at the end of the first one. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, man. What a game in terms of like you said earlier as well. It really defined what modern FPSs have become. Like
Call of Duty 4 set the blueprint out, and then Modern Warfare 2 was like, right, no, this is it. You're gonna have kill streak rewards and perks and fucking attachments, and everything's gonna link into everything else.
Yeah, it was an awesome game, and I imagine if you went back now and sat down and played it, which I probably will do later on at some point, but I imagine it will still hold up.
That campaign, definitely.
Yeah.
I wonder if that multiplayer scene is anything other than just like Chinese hackers.
I was going to say, I imagine stuff like that is all just preposterously hacked to. Like, it's just hacked to pieces. People flying around the maps. This is it. You could always tell when someone was hacking because it would always come up with like the weird stuff on your screen.
Yeah.
And then you suddenly start seeing people fly around the map, and then they have auto aim. And when you saw them in the kill cam, they'd just be snapping onto you. You'd be like, "What the hell, dude?"
Yeah, like it's always kill cams of people shooting you through walls.
Yeah.
Okay, I see how it is.
Yeah, and I think one of the things as well that made it stand out as a multiplayer was the hidden 25 kill streak that you could get with the tactical nuke. If you got 25 kills in a row, you just end the game. You win.
That was so good. And because the thing about that always pissed me off, right, is that it had to be 25 of your kills in a row.
Yeah.
Like, because I never got a tactical nuke, but on several occasions I got was it the attack helicopter?
Yeah.
That then gave me like a kill streak of about 30, but like 12 or 13 of them, whatever, were from a helicopter, so you didn't get the fucking tac nuke, and that always upset me. But also probably made it slightly more balanced, because getting 25 actual kills in a row was pretty impressive.
Yeah, man. I think I only ever got it once, but yeah, like it is just such a sort of like, it's so good that they've started it. Like, it's not in a sense. It's not called a tactical nuke like in World War II. It's called I can't remember. It's called like the VAR-5 missile, whatever it was, and like it doesn't end the game now, but it just wipes out the entire enemy team. But back in the day, just going on the grind and getting 25 kills and knowing that you just end the game. I mean, it did take up one of your slots in your kill streak, so you had to obviously be very confident in yourself, which I never was. But it's just, just introducing something like that in the game just goes to show why, for me, Modern Warfare 2 certainly just is up there in terms of like my top 5 games that I've played.
Yeah, it's well fucking good. I don't know. There's much more we can say about that, really.
Not really. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're sort of all Modern Warfare 2'd out because it's just such a great game.
Yeah, it's well good, and I'm probably not even going to go for a witty title for this podcast. I might just call it Modern Warfare 2 is a good video game because it's fucking true.
Yeah,
it is a good video game. It is the perfect balance. It is when Call of Duty was at its most Call of Duty, and it was great. It was before Call of Duty became kind of horseshit.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't know. Black Ops was all right. I enjoyed the campaign of Black Ops.
Yeah, I mean,
I've enjoyed moments in it.
I've enjoyed like most of the campaigns through the Call of Duty games for the last God knows how long. I mean, I'm always a fan of the campaigns that they come up with, even though
this is true.
As bad as I might be online, I'll still sit down and play online. But I mean, having said that, I haven't really touched World War II since a couple of weeks now. I feel like they released the first DLC is out for it. Yeah, I mean, there's not really much more I can say about it. I feel like it's sort of losing its. I know that they still obviously to be viable to be releasing one every year, they still must have a very strong player base of people who will sit down and play online and just grind it out and do all kinds of stuff. I feel like where this year's one perhaps has dropped a bit short is obviously in the build up to it they were like, oh yeah, we're gonna have this headquarters where you can hang out with all of these people online and you can just hop into games willy nilly. You can't see anyone else in the headquarters at the moment. They're still working on it. Obviously, if you're with a party of people, you can go in there and you'll be able to see your mates and whatever, and you'll be able to walk around. But it is still very much one of those things where they've promised a bit too much. And again, I mean, the campaign's okay for what it is. I feel like I've got my own opinions on it, and I know that I could talk for hours on end about how it shouldn't have been called World War II and all blah 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 and all of this stuff. But yeah, I feel like
maybe I'll play that campaign, and then we can have an episode where we talk about World War II. That could
yeah, for sure. But I mean,
I would like to play that campaign because I enjoyed Advanced Warfare and Infinite Warfare, and the Black Ops campaigns were good, and the Modern Warfare 3 was good, and I never played Ghosts, but it looked bad. But whatever, I guess. Yeah, maybe I'll play World War II, and we'll have a chat about that. I have got to totally break podcast etiquette and say, Jack, I'm busting to go to the loo. So we've talked for about an hour. I think we may have to cut it off here.
Yeah,
or if you want, we can keep talking, but I'm just going to have to cut all this out and then go for a piss.
That's all right. We can cut it off.
All right then, pal. Well, I think that was a good episode.
It was.
Shouting Over Static. Yeah, it's not too bad. You picked the right game for just the two of us.
Yeah, I was thinking if there was other people coming in as well, maybe I would have changed the game. But since it was just you and me, I thought we are both massive fans of the game, and yeah, I feel like we've had a pretty decent discussion.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think we, as I correctly predicted, it was a pretty cold take. But Modern Warfare 2 is a good game. I don't know if people should have probably known that already, but yeah, all right then, pal. So that was Shouting Over Static, a video game show and tell project. I have been Mark,
and I have been Jack.
You can find this on YouTube at Low Expectations Media in the playlist Shouting Over Static. I am getting most of those up on YouTube now. You can also find us on iTunes at Shouting Over Static. a video game show and tell project, and they go up every Wednesday, is what I'm aiming for. I've managed to have that happen for the last few weeks now, so that works out all right. You can find Jack at
Cracker Jack on YouTube.
Cracker Jack.
Yeah.
I don't think we have any other sort of plugs to make. It's only episode 9. We hardly have a social media empire to plug here. All right then, pal.
I'll see you later, dude.
Bye.